story you were telling me. Couple boys clock out about 5:35, trying to put a little hammer in their head. Standing in the liquor store staring at a fifth, but they picked up a handle instead. Hell right. Hell right. Hell right. Okay. Couple girls with their boots on, got their Bluetooth on, t-shirts saying go Sooners. Then the girl from the small town took off the old town, put on the little Hank Jr. Thank God. Hell right. She got all her rowdy friends coming over tonight. Hell right. Hell right. Everybody's throwing down on a Friday night somewhere in America. There's a bottle to burn and a fire to light, and you ain't done nothing if you did it halfway. If you're gonna raise hell, then you better damn raise hell right. Hell right. Hell right. There's a guitar on the ground that was making some sound till somebody pulled a hillbilly slip. Now there's fog on the window. She never would have kissed him if he didn't play a lick like this. Hell right. Hell right. Hell right. Hell right. Everybody's throwing down on a Friday night somewhere in America. There's a bottle to burn and a fire to light, and you ain't done nothing if you did it halfway. If you're gonna raise hell, then you better damn raise hell right. Hell right. Hell right. Now 7 a.m., damn if there ain't an empty handle on a square hay bale. Everybody's passed out drunk, but when they wake up, they're all gonna hurt like hell right. Yeah, boy. Hell right. Hell right. Everybody's throwing down on a Friday night somewhere in America. There's a bottle to burn and a fire to light, and you ain't done nothing if you did it halfway. If you're gonna raise hell, then you better damn raise hell right. Hell right. Hell right.
You're listening to the House of Cards on the Big Patriot Radio Network.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
And tonight's show is brought to you by the folks at WeThePatriotShop.com/big. That's WeThePatriotShop.com/BIG. Contact them at 518-538-2877. If you're looking for hormone-free, grass-fed, black Angus American-grown beef for your next cookout, well, you're going to want to visit those folks at WeThePatriotShop.com/big. Your cookout and barbecue will be the hit of the summer. Check them out at WeThePatriotShop.com/big and tell them you heard about them on Big Patriot Radio.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
And good evening, everybody. Once again, Thursday night. Glad to have you here. I'm Mike Covert, and this is Beaufort County's House of Cards. Wow, what a show we've got lined up for you tonight. You know, it seems like over the last several weeks, and this has been going on actually several months, we get the show written and it's produced and scripted and all that. And then something happens, and then a phone call, and then a video, and then a this and a that. And holy cow, I need new ink. I've done worn out the keyboard, So I guess I have to go back to ink. Anyway, we're so glad to have you here with us again this week. Whether you're listening to us or watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or you're listening to us as we are simulcasting live on BigPatriotRadio.com all across the world, actually. And we've got a bunch of people tuning in on all those channels. Sitting here, look at the numbers as they're rolling in. A lot of folks looking in or listening in rather on BigPatriotRadio.com from all over South Carolina, and actually all over. Right now, we're in the Southeast, and we have some in the Midwest and one in the Southwest that are tuning in. So it's crazy. Anyway, we are glad to have you with us. I want to go over a couple of things. The number one song this past week was, funny enough, I'm a Pit Bull from Papa Chubby. I haven't heard that in a while. I missed that this week. That was the number one rated song or most requested song. And the number one most listening in city was Hilton Head, South Carolina, and also Gastonia, North Carolina. So welcome those folks from out of the area. Glad to have you with us right here on what's becoming one of the biggest movers up in the charts, both the Beaufort County's House of Cards podcast and also right here on Big Patriot Radio.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
I want to remind you of a couple things coming up tonight. Our show, we're going to talk about everything that we've got going on there here shortly. Also want to remind you that don't forget that on Big Patriot Radio all week long, we have podcasts in the evenings. Monday nights, the New America Movement with David and Jordan Cox out of Easley. Listen to them both in the 7 o'clock hour and the 9 o'clock hour. They'll give you their take on politics and conservatism and the world as we see it, generally in the upstate of South Carolina, generally speaking. On Wednesdays, the number one rated show continues. We're in a second year, and that is Corey Allen and the Overton Report. That is at the 8 o'clock hour and then again in the 9 o'clock hour, or shortly after the first episode, bringing back for another encore show. That's Wednesdays at 8 and 9. Thursday nights, we're simulcasting live right here from the House of Cards onto BigPatriotRadio.com. Saturdays at 7 o'clock, our newest podcast is Annie, the Radio Chickadee Ubellis out of Beaufort, Ladies Island, South Carolina. She has her show that you can find all over the charts. As a matter of fact, that is Southern Sense Radio. And then Sundays at 7 o'clock right here on the Big Patriot radio station, we've got Culture Crossroads and my good friend Andrew Southwick, and he is on from 7 to 8 o'clock on Sunday night. So a lot of good stuff happening all week long. Tune in, let them know that you're listening, and be a part of their shows. So, yeah, we do have a great show for you tonight. We have another guest coming on with us again. That'll be in the 8 o'clock hour. We will be welcoming U.S. congressional candidate for the South Carolina 1st Congressional District, Catherine Templeton. She'll be here live joining us. But first, we want to go through some other things, give you an update on something that we've touched on previously as some new things. Actually, before I go into that, this news broke within the last hour or so, maybe a little longer. But this afternoon, the jury in Manhattan, in the Manhattan courtroom where former President Donald Trump has been under attack, if you will, on 34 counts. The jury came back today. I believe this was their second or third, whatever. I believe it's the second day of deliberation, and they found him guilty on all 34 counts. Now, we'll talk about this in length towards the end of the show, but I think I do find it important to mention that. And it is, these are interesting times. These are dangerous times. I'll tell you about that more later. But dangerous because someone has just been convicted of 34 things that either A, the statute of limitations on them, on their face, has expired, or B, convicted on things that are not up to the purview of this court, vis-a-vis their federal issues. But we're not going to go into dissect all that. We're going to talk about the what's going on the face of this. But it is dangerous times that apparently, as I put on the post earlier, statute of limitations in this country are out of the window now. So it doesn't. I'm just going by what Judge Marchand or whatever his name is, what he allowed. Statute of limitations doesn't matter anymore. That's what this court has shown today. And that's sad. They have taken the Constitution, they have stepped on it repeatedly, they've spit on it, and thrown it out the window. You shouldn't be surprised, coming from a high Democrat area such as Manhattan. However, I would have thought that a jury of 12 various dichotomies of life would have come up with something different. Anyway, I'm not totally shocked. To be honest with you, not totally shocked. It surprises me a little bit. I didn't think we were this far in the shitter, but apparently we are. But we'll talk more about that here in a little while. Don't forget, we want to hear your comments. You can go into whatever chat area or that you have on your platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, what have you, Twitter, whatever, and put your comments in there. And we'll hopefully get them here, and we'll put them on screen if appropriate, and so forth. Sorry about that. And so please, we love hearing from you and want to hear from you. So anyway, we have reported out to you that the former Beaufort County Public Facilities Director, a gentleman by the name of Mark Rosenau, had become the subject of alleged nepotism in his department. As we reported on it, as allegedly his executive assistant happened to be the wife of a favorable contractor for the county that was used by the county religiously. Nobody is laying claim, saying they did anything nefarious. It's just that doesn't smell good. When you have your largest contractor, a favorable county contractor's wife, as your executive assistant, that's not how you do business. Anyway, shortly after, and I don't know that we had anything to do with it, highly doubt it. Shortly after that was released, Rosenau left the county, went across the parking lot, and became an employee with the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office as a project manager of facilities. And we'll pull up the job description, excuse me, in a second and see what the real title is, but that's basically it. The funny thing with this is that the sheriff is not responsible for any facilities. Now, unless interim administrator John Robinson has completely rewritten public policy and policy manuals of the county that, I've had my eyes on them. I know what I'm talking about. The sheriff does not control the maintenance, the build, the aftercare of any facilities. That's not in his job description. That's not in his department's budget. That is a public facilities department this gentleman, Mark Rosenau, has headed up for years. But anyway, hey, let's just go ahead and let's take a look at the job. What do we want to look at first? Let's look at the organizational chart of the county sheriff's department. So you would think, and this is straight off of from the sheriff's department. One would think that you'd be able to find everything here. So let me pull that back up so I can read it, because guess what? I can't. The organizational chart. Everybody should have that on your screen. Let's go here. All right. So anyway, the command staff is, the sheriff, the chief deputy, and there's enforcement arms, northern, southern, central, etc. Again, the command staff, that's like the executive branch. You've got emergency management, administration, finance, all that stuff. And there's no property management there, property manager or facilities manager. None of that is there. The administrative division, that's all you see there in the second area. That's all about, just like the title says, it's all about administration. Let's see, recruiting, special services, courthouse security, school resource, warrants, criminal records, airport, all that. That's all administrative. And there's nothing about public facilities. We see the quartermaster, there's public safety software, crisis negotiation, there's FIO, Freedom of Information Act, folks training, but nothing about, the building. We scroll down into the EMS division or EMD. That has to do with the 911 system, communications, overall operations, aviation, incident commands, hazmat, future planning, different liaisons you see there, and nothing about property management, building management. Go to the bottom of this well done document. This enforcement division is what it says. You've got commanders and the SWAT team and the northern, central, and the southern branch and blah, blah. Investigations and advocacy and, sex offender, bloodhound, violent crimes, the dive team, ABC control, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all right there. And nothing about building management. It's interesting that the job is not listed. With it not being on the organizational chart, it begs the question, if you do not build anything, if you do not maintain anything, if you do not rebuild anything, then why do you have a project manager? I mean, it's a serious question. Others have asked this recently and gotten totally blasted for it. Like, how dare you? And I take offense to that because this is a legitimate question. Why do we have that if you don't do that? I'm a businessman. I did not have a dentist on my staff at the air conditioning company because we didn't do that. I had plenty of air conditioning mechanics, plenty of installers, plenty of administration, but I didn't have any window installers because I didn't do that. Anyway, it is the public's money that's paying this gentleman. Don't forget that. It's your tax money. It's my tax money. We're paying for it. It's not coming out of the sheriff's private coffers. It's coming out of my pocket and your pocket. Speaking of that, how much is he getting paid for this? Appears to be an erroneous job. I'm sure it's not, but it certainly appears to be. It's not an organizational chart. It doesn't work with the functions of a sheriff's department. No, it does not. Well, let's take a look. Shall we? Let's take a look at the job description of this particular job. So let's go down here and let's try to find, I got to go to the entire screen, the window, entire screen. Let's go here. Oops, I don't know if I did that right. I don't think you see that. Let's do this again and share. That doesn't work, does it? It just doesn't work. Let's see. Hopefully you all can see what I'm showing you. This is the actual, as you see it stamped off there by the chief deputy, Michael Hatfield. This is the original job description for, you see right here, project manager. At this writing, which was December 28th, 2023, we see that the project manager is responsible for planning, you get it, managing and executing projects from beginning to end with little to no supervision. What projects? The project scope can vary from single pieces of collateral to multifaceted campaigns. That's ambiguous. Project manager may be required to make an independent decision and judgment based on the assigned project. Well, what kind of projects? They never explain that. The project manager performs other administrative work as required, obeying all applicable rules, directives, and regulations of the sheriff's office. Moving on down, this person meets with the chief deputy, key personnel, identify the needs required to complete projects. Well, what projects? Plan, coordinate, and manage other agency projects as assigned. Well, what are those projects? You don't build anything. You don't manage anything. You don't repair anything. How could you have projects? Number one on that list, effectively understands project specs, architectural plans, and architectural documentation, assist with on-site inspection, track construction progress, and review project schedules and timelines. Okay, that's a legitimate duty and responsibility, but that actually is handled by the public facilities director that this guy was with the county. So now what we are seeing there will be two. That's a waste of your money and my money. That's extremely wasteful. That's overtly wasteful. But let's keep spending money because that's what we do. There you see the rest of the job description. The training and qualifications must have a bachelor's degree in a related field or 15 years of related construction management work. Well, how you bet that Rosenau does? He fits that. He fits that. 15 years experience in the management construction project. Yeah, he fits that. But again, the sheriff's department doesn't construct anything. Considerable knowledge of the process, technologies, energy management, and conservation. Well, he does that. But again, the sheriff's department doesn't hire and employ air conditioning mechanics, plumbers, electricians. That's what the county does. Is Sheriff Tanner now going to have building maintenance people on his payroll? That's a waste of money. Building climate control technologies must have a knowledge of electrical systems and emergency power. Again, the county, you and I are already paying for this in our ridiculous tax bills. Now we're going to pay for it again? Please. Here's the advertisement request for the position. You see, it is a new position. Starting salary commensurate with experience and training. Well, we know that that's not good enough. We're not going to stop there. Well, under FOIA, more information came out. This right here. This is the new hire request form. Applicant name, Mark Edward Rosenau. Hourly pay rate, $57.69. Starting April 1st, 2024. $57.69. $57.69. I have a question for all of you that are watching. Does anybody here make $57.69 an hour? Which, let me do a quick calculation. At a 40-hour work week, 80-hour pay period, or is it monthly? Anyway, that's $120 some odd $1,000 a year. $120,000 a year for a new job that is already existing in the county that now the sheriff has duplicated. But I remind you, unless John Robinson, the interim administrator, unless he has changed public policy, which would be news to everyone and drastic news at that, unless he's done that, this is already performed by the county. I'll take a bite and love to hear why. Why are we spending $120,000 on duplicity of tasks that are already being done? But let me keep going. On the same subject, we have come across some outside investigations into Mr. Rosenau on some property that he and his wife own in Beaufort County. The property is known as Trenchard's Island. Trenchard, Trenchards. Trenchard's Island. The property does have an address. It is 1 Trenchard's Island. That's their address. It's a small island just off the corner of St. Helena Island. It's got marsh all the way around it. It has deep water access, and it is literally within minutes of the mouth to the Atlantic Ocean. So to share what we're talking about, what's the big deal? Well, let's just dig into this a little bit. Let's dig into what's the big deal. Well, the big deal is, let's go look at the tax map. And is that shared? Let me go to the entire screen again. Tax app. Why am I not able to do that? Share. All right, here we go. So that's not the right one. That's not the right one. We're all over the, here we go. Here is a tax document from Trenchard's Island. If you have never read one of these, you might want to take time and do that of your own property. But you see, here's the property ID, the PIN number. Parcel address is number 1, Trenchard's Island. Dates that this came about. The address of the name it's under a corporation. And then there we go. You see all the addresses and whatever. The property class code is an island and boat access only. This is straight off the tax records that the owners would have filed to the county. So if you look at the current year, 2023, the appraised value of the land was $24,000. The appraised value of the improvements was $74,500, which is a total of $98,500 appraised value. There you see the limit, capped, appraised, no exemptions, taxable amount, and assessment ratio, etc. If you do the math, this comes out to paying, it's like $597 for taxes. Now, 2 points. Over here to the left, you see last year's in 2022. The land was appraised at the same. The appraised value of the improvements was more. Well, in 1 year, how did the property lose $10,000 worth of value? I know of no property, no land that has lost $10,000 in value. If you go back to COVID, during the COVID times, this has lost value of $20,000. And you see the rest of it there. That's the current taxes. But in the other part of this, again, they pay this year, $597 and change dollars in taxes. $600, let's call it. $600 in taxes. This is an island. This is owning an island with deep water access to the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, it's an acre or a little more, whatever, but it's an island. You own the island, bro. And you have deep water access to the Atlantic Ocean, and your taxes are $600? Really? So anyway, according to the tax documents that we have and others have reviewed, and also according to the county GIS mapping site, this island should have no structures aside from a dock. They call it a dock, and there should be, does it show it on this one? No, it doesn't. A dock, a ramp, some things of that nature. So let's go take a look and see what we see about Trenchard's Island. So we'll stop sharing there. Bear with me as we bring this up. Ivy asks, is it being taxed at 4% or 6%? Currently, it is at 6%. Currently, and I'll leave that at that, it is at 6%. All right, so let's bring up another map. I want you to know, where this is. So if we zoom out, this is the county GIS mapping site. Over here, this is Hilton Head. Here's Paris Island. Over here is Fripp Island and Old Island. Pritchard's Island is in there. This is St. Helena Island. Back here is Harbor and Hunting. And look right here, like on top of the foot, which would be Fripp and Old Island. Let me zoom in. And let me zoom back out. This is the ocean down here. Here's the river right here. Now we'll zoom in. And the parcel is right here where that number 1 is. So let me take and give you a couple of pictures. Pictures speak 1,000 words. So I want to, let's go back here. So we know where basically it is. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look, see, at a first run map. All right. So this is that land that over here to the left of it is part of the river, and down here to the bottom is part of the river, and the ocean access we'll see here in a second. The property is right here. It's kind of a golf club head, if you would, is what it looks like. And there's a structure there in the middle, and this white long thing, that's a dock. That's a walkable dock. And down here at the bottom, there is a structure there and a structure there. All right. So let's zoom that in just a little bit. So we zoomed in on it. And again, this is Trenchard's Island. There's some marsh over here and some trees and whatnot. The number 1, you see that's the address. There's a house there. Lo and behold, there's a house. And right here, I don't know if my little arrows pointing, but this is a fire pit. This is the ramp, and this is the walkway. All right, so you know what? Let's stop sharing that one, and let's put that aside. And let's go ahead and take an aerial view of, let's see what it looks like if we can get any closer. How about that? Let's do a little bit of this. And here we have a pictometry. And if you didn't know how to get to this, I only knew it because I was on county council, to be quite honest with you. The other maps I could get to, I knew about those, but this is like the secret maps. Let it refocus here. So this is a airplane view, if you would, or a drone view of Trenchard's Island right here. There's a excessively long walkway and 2 structures down here. You see a little boat going by down there. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in and let's take a look at, this is $600 a year. This is $600 a year. This right here, this is a floating dock. There are piers rather right here. This dock moves up and down with the tide. This is a high dollar dock. Right here, these are, if you can see these handles, so to speak, this like fence, this is a floating bridge or ramp. These are aluminum rails. This goes up and down with the height of the floating dock. That connects to this structure right here. This is a covered pavilion. A covered pavilion. The covered pavilion is connected to this extremely long, luxurious, but only costs you $600 a year boardwalk back to the island. And on the island, lo and behold, that looks like a house. Matter of fact, that looks like a 2-story house. Covered porch here. We can't see behind it because of the shade from the sun. This is a house. I had someone tell me that, I think the roof is, it's been damaged. No, this hasn't been damaged. This is relatively new construction in my purview. Windows are in. Now, there's no electricity on this island, so somewhere around here, if they have power, they're going to have a generator. There is no electricity out there. We can't tell if there is any septic system from this shot, but DHEC will know. But the point of all this is, again, $600 a year. There's a house on deep water with I think I read today, this was almost 300 foot long. It looks more than that to me. Walkway to a covered pavilion. That's got to be more than 300 feet. Jeez. And then a floating dock with an aluminum ramp. So I decided, just for kicks and giggles, let's go ahead and let's take the value. If I could find someone to tell me without, going into who it is and all that, just, hey, and I happen to know a couple of appraisers. Hey, there's a one acre island. There's a small house with, all the stuff I just told you. It's in St. Helena District, tax map 300, blah, 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 6%, second home kind of thing. The owner calls this a fish camp. That's quite a fish camp. Anyway, I had two people. One gave me, off the record, don't hold me to it, of 1.48 million, and the other one said 1.32 million. So I took 1.4 million. Plugged it into the county auditor, has a tax calculator that you can get a hold of. You can plug your own stuff in here. Choose your assessment ratio, 6% that I did here. I didn't do any tricks or gadgets, but you can see the taxes should be $21,865.20. If the property value is at $1.4 million, $21,865.20 in lieu of the $600 that he's paying now. Yes, Julianne, that's property taxes. $600, and you can own an island all to yourself with a who knows how long of a ramp, dock, covered pavilion, and a floating dock. Interesting. Now, nobody is being accused of anything at all. We're just saying this doesn't add up. Julianne, are permits pulled or CO? Well, I'm glad you asked that. We're in the process of trying to get those records. When was the CO? We understand from talking with some folks at the county today that I'm not at liberty to say who that is, that there is no CO. At first, currently no CO. At first, they were saying this house was this property was damaged by Hurricane Matthew. We know that's not true because Matthew was 8 years ago, and that's not an 8-year-old property. I can guarantee that. I would bet money on that. And if it was, then you've got bigger problems because it's been sitting off the tax rolls for 8 years. So I don't even want to go there. I believe this thing was built within the last year or so. But apparently there is no current CO. Maybe they haven't reached that yet. We also learned today that while the departments didn't know about this, it supposedly is going to be on this year's taxes. I have a problem that we're just going to blase put it on the tax rolls. This needs to be done properly. Julianne, it's not what you know, but who you know. Unfortunately, that seems apparent in many circles. I don't know if this is this one. I don't know. We're not making any allegations. We're just presenting a fact that someone who was the public facilities The building and grounds director for the county leaves a multi-decade job to do the same thing with the sheriff's department, that they don't own any property to maintain, build, or tear down. And then at the same time, this island has a structure on it that's not shown on the tax records, and he pays $600 a year in taxes. Something just doesn't add up. But anyway, so yeah, 2-story house, dock out to deep water. I don't know if I showed you. Matter of fact, I failed, and I apologize. Let me which one would be better for you to see? Well, why not see this one? Let's I want a wide angle out. You can still see Trenchard's Island right here. Okay. Don't lose sight with me. Don't lose sight where that is. Keep your eyeball on that. I'm going to zoom out so you can see exactly where this is. Now, it's right here. My little hand, you see it going around. That's Trenchard's Island. And this long, I got to figure out how to use the ruler on this thing, because that's way longer than what I'm being told. Anyway, let's zoom out a little bit more. There you see it right there. It's right there. All right, this is that river, and right here is where Trenchard's Island is, and down here, this is the mouth into the Atlantic Ocean. This is St. Helena Island. Over here is Paris Island. This is Pritchard's Island and Old Island, and there's Fripp Island. So this $600 a year property tax sits right here, easily within minutes to the Atlantic Ocean. Now, I am not, believe me, in any stretch, saying somebody shouldn't have that, because I think it's awesome. It's great. I just want to make sure that people, especially that work for the government, aren't taking advantage anywhere and are paying their fair share, like you and I. I know my luck. If I tried doing that, they would throw me under the jail. If I paid, I mean, it's ridiculous. $600. I have to go back and think about that. That's my taxes in my little abode, I believe, is probably 5 times that. I think, I don't remember off the top of my head, and I'm nowhere near. I don't live on an island. I live on a pond. But anyhow, so as I said, I want to make sure everybody's clear. We certainly are not, accusing the sheriff's project manager, of which there aren't any projects to be managed. Anyway, we're not accusing him of any improprieties. Don't think that. Don't say that, because it's not true. But I am sure that all of you are watching pay the appropriate amount. Again, I want to just be clear about this. You pay the appropriate amount of property taxes on the real property that you own. I know when we built this house that we're in now, I had to, it was amazing the amount of blood I had to give to prove that this was a real residence that I actually live in, to be able to pay the 4% rate, because out of the box it came 6%, and I had to prove it, which is asinine. But anyway, you pay the right tax rate on what you own, your property. If it's personal property, you pay, personal property tax. You pay tax on vehicles and airplanes and boats and trains and tanks and whatever you own. If you're a business, you pay merchant taxes on computers and tables and desks and vehicles and bathrooms. But this guy has a 1-acre island, an island with deep water access and a dock and pavilion. It looks like Palmetto Bluff, to be quite honest with you. Honestly, that looks like the Palmetto Bluff, the main dock, pavilion, and floating dock with a ramp. It looks exactly like it. And he pays $600 a year with a 2-story house for $597. Anyway, this is a 6% property, and estimates we have sought out indicate that value that I told you. That means absolutely nothing. That was from phone calls to 2 appraisers just to getting a wild ass guess. I have no idea what the property is valued at. I know it's not what we looked at earlier, which was I think I already hit the X. No, I didn't. The appraised value $98,500. That's the 2023, which was down $10,000 from 2022. Think about that. That house, again, in my opinion, my educated opinion, that house has been built within the last 12 months. But the value of the property has gone down $10,000 since, I think, when that property was built. It just doesn't add up. Anyhow. So you asked, I told you about the storm. I was told today from some people in the county that, it may have been damage in the storm. And I refuted that with photographs and common sense. The biggest point of all this is, the common sense with that, is that if that was true, it should have already been on the tax rolls. If it was damaged in Matthew in 16, it would have already been on the tax rolls. And if it was built in 16 and it was on the tax or it isn't on the tax rolls, then you've got a big problem, Beaufort County. But I really don't think that. So you have to ask the question, is something being hidden here? I don't know, but it's a fair question. Where are the building permits for this residence? Where are the building permits for the dock? You would have had the dock permit in hand first to be able to get to build the house, because there's no way to get there. You can't get there without going over this dock. So OCRM, that's the Office of Coastal Ocean and Coastal Resource Management or something like that. They would have had to have given a permit to build that dock. There would have had to have been zoning documents. Where are all these documents? Why do we have several employees of the Public Facilities Department in Beaufort County right now claiming that they were made to work out there on the house, on the property, with other contractors? Those same employees, the few that we've talked to, refuse to come out publicly on this, because all of them have said in basic terms, we fear for our jobs and we fear for our family's safety. We're not coming on your show. What is going on here with that? If it was one person, 2 people, maybe they conspired. But we've got more than 2. We've got more than 3. But they don't want to talk. Why? If this is true, and this is only an allegation, only begging a question to be answered, all I can say is sometimes there are rules for thee and not for me. Julianne could certainly accommodate some nefarious activities under the radar. Nefarious activities under the radar. Obviously, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but if I had to think of if I had a house on an island with a boat dock and a ramp and minutes access to the Atlantic, off the top of my head, that'd be a great place to run drugs, I guess. That'd be a great place to traffic people in and out. That would be a great place to, I don't know, smuggle money in and out. I mean, I don't know if that's what you mean, but I mean, off the top of my head, I can see that. Nancy, i.e., trafficking. There you go. Great minds think alike. So, yeah, I mean, Julianne, you make a good, I hadn't even thought of that, really, that it could accommodate some nefarious activities. And again, I'm not saying that's going on there. Nobody's saying that's going on there. We're just saying something isn't adding up here. The cheese smells funny. What's going on? Why don't we have all the info? But I get what you're saying. And, I never thought of it that way. But, there was a case on Hilton Head Island that made Governor McMaster famous. And that was called, Operation Jackpot. They were smuggling dope onto Hilton Head Island by the sailboat full. And anyway, he was the one who broke it. And I mean, that's how he got his claim to fame, was Operation Jackpot. So, I mean, I guess that could be, happening now. Interesting point.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
And yes, there is a book written about it, and I believe it's called Operation Jackpot. I'm not 110% sure, but I believe that's what it is. Anyway, we have our guest going to be coming on here shortly. Hopefully she'll be checking in here soon. Excuse me. Speaking of Beaufort County, this past Tuesday, Beaufort County Council formally hired their next county administrator. They're like 6 in 8 years. Nancy, trafficking kids have exceeded drug trafficking. That is exactly correct, Nancy. And that's this show. And thanks to folks like you and Julianne and the Romellings and Ivy and all kind of folks. I know I'm forgetting the more of you, but we have been working behind the scenes on trafficking and trying to stomp that out with support all that we can, and appreciate you being a part of that, Nancy. Kelly, Mark Reynolds, is this the Mark? Yes. Mark Rosenau is married to the clerk of courts, Jerry Rosenau. That is the same one. So anyway, we have a new county administrator. What are you talking about? I never heard about that. Well, join the crowd. This was announced at a county council meeting without ever having released the list of finalists to the public. I tend to think I'm pretty much on top of things, and I got a notice early this morning. Hey, what do you think about the new county administrator? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? According to a source inside the county attorney Tom Kevaney allegedly instructed county council as not needing to notify the public of finalists. Quote, end quote. Again, we have another case, a glaring case of Beaufort County totally screwing up something that should have been noticed as a good thing, as a positive thing. I mean, it's your 6th in 8 years. You haven't got it right yet. Now's got to be a good time. Rather than have community input, community notice, community involvement, transparency that we beg for and you blow smoke up our ass that you're trying to give, county attorney and the county council chairman decide to do it in the dark. Once again, shameful and possibly illegal, as I have been told. Now, today we've learned that allegedly county council last week even took a vote in executive session on a different candidate. County council voted to send him an offer to which he replied with a counter offer. County council met again in executive session. This individual, who we only know as supposedly Toby, decided to back out of the job altogether. Back out of the job. Here's your offer. Here's my counter offer. And you know what? I'm out. I'm out. So then this week, as vice chair asked for the motion to approve the hiring during the other night, Tuesday night's county council meeting, they would have had to have taken a vote in executive session prior to, which, if you look at the agenda, there is an item there about a hiring matter by council. Since county council only has one employee, which is the county administrator, you can deduce from that the truth. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let's get some questions here. I thought by law they have to release the top 3 contenders. You can't vote in executive session. So, Ivy, let me unpack that for you. There's a couple of things. Yes, you cannot take a vote. It is ethically wrong and against the ethics, the FOIA laws, to vote, to take a vote in executive session. You are not allowed to do that. Thought by law, they have to release the top 3 contenders. The way that the South Carolina law is written, and I've had multiple times to read this backwards and forwards, is once they being a body politic, county council, town council, school board, which, by the way, Beaufort County got in trouble for this as well one time, not that long ago. Once they list the finalists, there's my camera. The finalists, when you have the finalists, those have to be released to the public. What is a finalist? That could be 3, that could be 4. It's whatever it can't be less than 3. That is in the law, that FOIA law, ethics law. You have to release the finalists. It would only make sense, I hope you can agree, that releasing the names of the finalists to gain public interest, to gain public trust, to gain public input, even if, and this is what is, these people don't think, even if you don't give a shit about the public input, at least give them the opportunity, make them feel good. Hopefully you do give a crap about their feelings. But to do it behind closed doors, to take not 1, not 2, not 3, but possibly 4 votes that I am counting by process of how we do this, taking 4 votes in executive session. And even if they say, well, we're not going to take a vote, but if everybody's in agreement, nod your head. That is a vote. That's a vote. That's trying to shit the system. Wink with one eye if you're in favor and both if you're against. That's still a vote. Yeah, Kelly, it's shameful. Shameful indeed. But you have a new county administrator, Beaufort County. Wasn't the guy they wanted for the job, Toby. Toby gave a counteroffer. The county agreed, and Toby said, nah, don't want to do it. So they go to the next. Now, other folks inside of the county have also told me that the chairman, the vice chairman, and the county attorney were pushing like pushing a block up a hill, pushing for interim administrator John Robinson, the former, I don't know, fire chief or public safety chief or whatever, to be county administrator. But the prevailing numbers, more than half, obviously didn't want that. So Michael Moore, that is the, let me see, I think I have actually believe I have a picture of Mr. Moore. Let's see, we're going to have to go to the whole screen again. I'll tell you a little bit about him. There we go. Michael Moore, he is currently, well, I guess he still is, currently the assistant county administrator in York County, up next door to Charlotte. This is your new county administrator. He starts work on July 1st, 2024. Mr. Moore has served in the U.S. Navy for more than 30 years as an aviator and commander. He was raised in Hot Springs, Arkansas, born in Alexandria, Virginia. If he actually starts the job, and that's happened before too, when we've given a job and then later on they say, nah, just like what quote unquote Toby did. So if he starts the job, I wish him all the luck in the world. And I hope this guy is the next best thing, than sliced bread. I hope he's the best county administrator we've ever seen. We definitely need that. Definitely, we need that. I'll tell you what, let's take a timeout. I've got Catherine Templeton calling in. We'll take a quick timeout. and be right back. Okay, we're back. And there was a problem getting the link over to her. So real quick, let me end the sharing on that. So anyway, where was I? Gosh darn it. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, again, he raised in Hot Springs, Arkansas, born in Alexandria, Virginia. I do wish him all the luck. I mean, absolutely all the luck in the world. Again, like I was reiterating, gosh, we need someone solid for the job. We've had them, but nothing has stuck. So I hope this one sticks. Even more than that, I'm going to have to say that I really sincerely, because this guy is an aviator, he's a military guy, been up in York County. I hope he has the balls, if you will, to tell Passament and McKellen, put them on notice and say, look, boys, I run the day-to-day of this county. You need to stay away. You do what council does. You don't need to be here all day, every day. I run the show. Stay out. That, if he can do that and give him a good, capiche, that will tell me a lot. A lot. Toby knew better. Good for him. He nah, you're right, Kelly. I think hey, that's happened in the past. When we were hiring Ashley Jacobs in that time period, before her, after her, before Eric Greenway, there was people that, the firm had contacted, or the headhunters had contacted, and they were like, you know what? No, thank you. So, that's something, that's part of it. You just got to deal with. Janet, hope he knows he's getting himself. I know. I agree. I'm sure he does in this day and age with technology. I'm sure that Mr. Moore is well versed. If he's not, well, he's in for a big show. 5 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to have our guest come on here shortly. You are listening to the Big Patriot Radio Network.
Wickedness and filth this world has to offer.
Rock music that shatters your bones. Big Patriot Radio.
That's some serious rock.
And you're responsible.
All right, we're going to be bringing our guest on here just a second. She is the former president and co-founder of U.S. Brick and was the former director of the South Carolina Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation in the cabinet of former Governor Nikki Haley back in the 2010 time period. In 2012, Haley appointed her as director of DHEC, that's the Department of Health and Environmental Control. Graduate of Wofford College, go Terriers, and received her Juris Doctorate from the USC School of Law, go Cox. In 2017, she ran for the Republican nomination for governor of South Carolina. Now she is candidate again for the Republican nomination for U.S. Congress in the South Carolina 1st Congressional District, Please join me in welcoming Catherine Templeton to the House of Cards.
All right, Mike. Thank you.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's great to see you. We've talked several times, but it's great to see you again. And thank you so much. I know you how busy you are. Thank you for being on here with us. We have had both of the competitors of yours on here, and the viewers, quite frankly. And you've got almost 2,000 right now in all of our platforms watching.
Great.
They've been on the edge of their seats. Hey, we heard from Mace, we heard from Young. Let's hear from Catherine. And I said, well, you happen to have, this is going to be good because I knew Catherine back when you were running for governor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how we met?
No. How did we meet?
Well, I'm glad you asked. You were running for governor.
Tell me.
And I was part of, as a local politician, there were 4 of us that put together an event out in Hardeeville at Jasper County, in the Jasper County area.
Yep.
And we had you out there at the government complex.
Yep,
And
I do remember. Yep.
Okay. One of the things, and a lot of people, it seems, I don't know if it's because people have moved in or maybe short-term memory, but one of the things that I really liked was when you had the buzzsaw, the buzzsaw mantra and the saw, that was awesome.
I wish I could take credit for it. I can't. So when I worked in government, in the first 18 months, I cut $68 million in the budget or out of the budget, and 1 in 4 bureaucrats. And of course, the press didn't like that, as you can well imagine. They don't like change. And to be fair, I mean, I looked, the employees in the face, and a lot of them got fabulous jobs in the private sector. We privatized programs. And so the Post and Courier had a big fat headline that said, "Buzzsaw goes to DHEC." And, you embrace things like that sometimes when you're defined by your enemies.
That's
and
right.
I was proud of it.
Well, I was giving you, I still give you credit for it.
Well, thank you.
Because that stuck.
Yes.
And I thought that was, that's good. So anyway, I want to be cognizant of your time. Let's jump right in. Before we get to some questions that I have for you, I would like to have your thought on something. Then this just broke within the last few hours. President Trump today was found guilty in a Manhattan court of all 34 charges, some of which trumped up on him. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
And some don't even know what they even are. Found guilty by a group of 12 men and women. Your comments surrounding this news today?
So a couple things. I've already talked to some real leaders in the Trump organization, and their response is, of course, in New York, sort of a democratically mafia-run, state, you're going to have corruption. My comments, I can't believe we even got this far. I can't believe there was a trial on charges that no one could even articulate. I mean, the man was charged for fraud in business records that led to a crime, and they couldn't tell us which crime or what crime. And a jury of New Yorkers are not a jury of his peers at all. So, fortunately, the Republican Party will stand behind him. Fortunately, the American people will stand behind him. I don't know how many years it will take for him to appeal. Hopefully, he'll be president and he can pardon himself in the meantime. We'll see.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
First question, our border, specifically obviously the southern border,
Yes.
is obviously, as you know, is a complete and utter total mess. The subject of the border and the economy, still true to form, seem to be, at least here in the first congressional district, our top 2 tier items. Voters are, now they're not upset about it. They want it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
What will you do if there was a magic wand and you had ultimate control? But as Congresswoman for the first congressional district, what can you do to help close this very porous border?
It is a simple fix. Since the beginning of time, people have been protecting their borders since the beginning of time. I would do 2 things. Number one, I would send the military down there, period. I would absolutely stop the invasion at the southern border. It is an invasion. Number two, as a congressperson, I would change one word. These politicians get involved in all of this. Let's write 300 pages of a bill. Let's run to camera on Fox News. Let's talk about it. Stop. There's one word that needs to be changed. In the law, it says the Attorney General may make people remain in Mexico, right? May make them stay there until we decide whether or not they can come in. I would change may to shall. The Attorney General shall require that people who are not American citizens stay wherever they are until we decide they can come in. It stops the drip. It stops the pour. First, we stop it, and then we have to deport the people that are here. We're spending, I don't know, $500 billion or so, depending on which report you read, on unaccompanied minors and illegal immigrants. And that's about the budget of the VA. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Your opponents have made it part of some advertisements that you, and you sort of alluded to this, but it's on a different thing. Anyway, they have made some advertisements that you cut the South Carolina immigration enforcement program from like 20 some odd or 30 some odd people. That seems to change depending upon the ad, down to like 3. And I guess that was while you were leading the LLR folks. Mm-hmm. That's 14 years ago. Can you explain that issue? What's the real story? And how does that compare to the border and immigration issue of today?
It's very, very, very simple. What politicians like to do is throw money at things, and what business people like to do is fix the problem. And I'm a business person. So when I was your labor secretary, I wrote what is recently, not 14 years ago, but recently been called one of the toughest immigration laws in the nation. Now, remember, I'm a lawyer. So my opponent likes to say, oh, she couldn't possibly have written it. I did write it. Not only did I write it, I've been given credit for it by Chip Campson in a law review article. I've been given credit for it by Larry Martin, who is the head of judiciary. He's recently come out and said anybody that says any different is dishonest. I wrote the toughest immigration law, and it was so long ago, it was that cutting edge, and we did 3 things. Number one, we cracked down on sanctuary cities by giving everyone on this radio show the private right of action to sue your local government yourself if they don't enforce the laws. It's why we don't have sanctuary cities in South Carolina. It's why we have them in Charlotte, why we have them in Atlanta, on our borders, but not here because we have tough law, state law. The second thing we did is we put a law enforcement criminal illegal unit in place at the state level to help our local law enforcement, get them out, get them to feds, get them out of here. And then number 3, and this is the important part, everybody follow this. You could have given me $20 million and I would not have had enough immigration officers to go check every business and kick out everybody taking our jobs. So instead, we put in a thing called E-Verify. Ever heard of it? Yeah, well, that was country when country wasn't cool. We had to go fight Janet Napolitano, Obama's secretary, Homeland Security person.
I remember that.
She wouldn't let us put E-Verify in. She wouldn't let us touch it, said we couldn't see. We took it, we put it in, we fought the AFL-CIO, we fought the NLRB, Obama's NLRB, to get it in, put it in. We increased our audits by thousands, increased compliance to 93%, and we did it for less money. So you are right. I absolutely saved the state taxpayers 85%. That's the truth. But, politicians and my opponent likes to, they like to play politics. 85% reduction was in cost, not in results. And that's what you get when you put a serious adult in government who has run a business versus a politician who likes to throw money at it. Money's not the measure, guys. Results are the measure.
Speaking of business, again, the economy, and I appreciate your answer. The economy is also an extremely hot topic. You and I are both business owners and entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, a business must succeed by having a positive side to the, the debits and credits, that whole thing.
Good EBITDA, good margin. Yes.
In the balance sheet. Joe and Jane America also have a balance sheet. And when a bag of, and this stuff I actually from being in the store, a bag of frozen blueberries is like $17. Ground beef, $8.99 a pound. A gallon of organic whole milk, which totally freaked me out, $8.99 a gallon. Large peanut butter, $8.30 for the big one. You see where I'm going with that?
I do.
Joe and Jane America, their balance sheet isn't working out anymore. So, what can you do in Congress to make a difference to South Carolinians where they can once again afford to go to the grocery store just for the simple things?
Joe and Jane America aren't working out because the federal government's not working out. I mean, think about all the bureaucrats that are paid. Let's start with that. Just the cost to run the government alone. Then the money that they're taking in is not as much as the money they're spending. You get lost in the hundreds of trillions of billions, and our debt is, I mean, nobody can conceptualize of all that money. I certainly can't. I don't know what $1 trillion looks like, but I do know this. In the last appropriations bill, they spent $6 and they brought in $4.50. That's the difference, right? And your mama and my daddy told us that it's not what you make, it's what you spend. And about 85 cents of that is on interest. And we're paying interest to China. It's our second largest bank. People who want to harm us, they're playing long ball to harm us. So it is, number one, they're spending too much. And I don't think anybody, I shouldn't say anybody. I know that our congressman's not paying attention to it. And I don't know how many congressmen are paying attention to it because I don't know how many business people there are. I'm told about half of them are political consultants that have decided this is the best job they'll ever have. And let me tell you, U.S. Brick is the best job. And it was a cool job, right? I mean, that was the divestiture asset package I negotiated, taking away assets from foreign companies so we could have a privately owned American manufacturing company here. That's a cool job, but this job will be the most important job I ever have. So to go do math in Congress and to make sure that not only are we not spending more than we have, but that we're spending it on the right things. Yeah. I mean, in the budget, there was a budget proposal from Biden. He wanted $1 trillion to go to COVID. COVID's over. I mean, it's that simple. So where we're spending it, how we're spending it, some people will remember Mark Sanford. I know we've got a lot of people who've moved in and made a very good decision to come to the Low Country. Now that you're here, we're going to build a wall at I-95 as well. Y'all can stay. We're grandfather in, but everybody else, we got to grow a little more responsibly. But I've been told that I'm one LL beanbag short of being as cheap as Mark Sanford. We've got to be more fiscally responsible.
Well, one LL beanbag is short.
LL beanbag, that's right.
When I was in one of my trips to DC on county council, I was in his office talking with him, and all of his staffers were around. Anyway, he said, "Hey, come on back here," and to his office. And I told him, I said, "Mark," I said, and I know him personally. I said, "This place looks like shit, man. What do you clean this place?" He goes, "Well, this is where I live." Yeah. I was like, "What?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm so cheap." He said, "I'm not getting a house or a hotel. I stay here in my office." And he told me how all that worked. And I was like, "You are a tightwad."
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, Beaufort County, I want to, it's one bit of the first. It's home to 3 military bases, 4 if you count Laurel Bay. Laurel Bay housing base. Parris Island is arguably the most prolific base in the United States.
Absolutely.
What will you do in Congress to make sure that the subject of base closure never has the words Parris Island attached to it?
I think if we're all realistic, we all understand that Parris Island is not just important to Beaufort. Parris Island is important to the United States of America. And the United States of America is aware of that. The thought that it would be spoken out of anyone's mouth in a BRAC hearing is almost impossible. But the first line of defense is not only me, but your senior senators. That's an entire South Carolina delegation that stands up on that one. One of the things that I was honored to do when I did work for the state, for the people of the state, I was on the Homeland Security Advisory Committee, and then separate from that, I was I don't know what they called it, chair or what have you, of the State Emergency Response Commission. And in both of those roles, the interaction that I was able to have. I had like secret security clearance when nuclear things came across our roads because I had the Savannah River site. I regulated that.
Yep.
The interaction that I was able to have with the military and the awe-inspiring discipline and protection that they create, not just for Beaufort, South Carolina, but for the United States of America. I think people in Congress understand that. And I would be shocked if that ever comes up. But when it does, you just go and lay your hand on a South Carolinian and or a Marine, or I think you'll understand we're going to be fine.
Right.
Plus, I loved I was at the Memorial Day service at the National Cemetery, and the Paris Island. The band was there. The amazing contribution to the community. They really don't have to do, and they do. They show up. They sat in the hot sun for 3 hours, and they were reverent. I mean, you just can't be against them.
Right.
You just can't. And if anybody stands up against them, I think we got what we need. Good. Speaking
of the military, we are literally on the verge of wars in the Middle East, the Baltics, the Far East, speculation of Russia moving into the Baltics while pushing a surge into Ukraine is almost certain. I learned earlier today there has been some issues on the Crimea bridge over the last 24 hours. Our current president flip-flops on how, where, when to use military. Ultimately, this is a decision. Using the military is a decision that falls back through the process of going to Congress. Where are you currently with the use of military on those fronts, the Middle East, Baltics, and the Far East?
So I loved President Trump's peace through strength. The number of Abraham Accords that he was able to achieve. China would not be advancing. Russia would not be advancing. We wouldn't be where we are if we had a strong leader, period. So I'm looking forward to President Trump coming back into office so we can right the ship. Now, that said, we can't leave our military men and women over in any theater unsupported or left, unfinished. And so we have to have a defined goal, and we have to get them through these wars. I will tell you this, though, I'm an America First conservative. It doesn't mean I'm America only, because if you are America First, you recognize that there are threats out there that could hurt us here. There are friends out there we must show up for, like Israel, as an example. But from a foreign affairs perspective, I start with the southern border, and it is, we're being attacked on our own soil. I support Israel and, all of the amazing things they actually give back to us as well. They are a partner. They're a military partner. The data that we gain from the use of our different technology that will one day protect us is otherworldly. But again, like I said, if we don't get a good leader back in office, we're all done for. Rome is actually burning. Yeah.
Let me kind of switch channels, and I've got a bunch of folks that are asking questions, and some of you folks that are out there, I'll get to some of those. It's been noted again by one of your opponents. The importance of this question is that while I feel like I know exactly who Catherine Templeton is, some folks don't know.
Absolutely.
They don't know what U.S. BRIC even was, oddly enough. But it's been noted by one of your opponents that you are a fellow of the Aspen Institute and World Economic Forum. Both have been cloaked in allegations. I take it you've heard this as well.
I heard it this morning. Really? I did.
So they've both been cloaked in allegations of New World Order processes, decisions. So, are you a member of the Aspen Institute and or World Economic Forum? Do you believe in a New World Order that is seemingly a faction of said groups?
don't even know what that means, Mike. I have no idea. I'll have to Google it when my day is over. So let me tell you what they've done there. There is a group called Liberty Fellowship, founded by South Carolinians, funded by South Carolinians. It includes Tim Scott, Trey Gowdy, Alan Wilson, Weston Newton, Sean Bennett, who else is in the district? Great conservative people. And that's all there is to it. Period. End of story. It's like when you do leadership training, right? It's when the chambers used to have them, remember, and the Rotaries used to have them. That's what it is. No, I'm not a globalist. I don't even know what what'd you call it? The New World Order. I don't even know what that is. My husband said, there are a lot of things that I thought you would be called, my dear love, sweetheart. However, woke and Soros were not going to be part of those things. Yeah, that's just crazy. But it's politics. And, what we've seen from Nancy Mace, frankly, is she kind of stands from afar and she says, liar, liar, pants on fire, as loud and as often as she can. And she hopes it sticks. And I mean, at the end of the day, the world is round. It is not flat. I really did write the toughest immigration law and enforce it. I really was the founder of, the president of US BRIC and co-founder of US BRIC. I really did fire Mike Kelly or Mark Kelly, if y'all did see that one, because he said the Jews should stay with the Jews. Like they're court documents, right? Really did fight President Obama when Boeing came because he wanted Boeing not to come. They sued me individually, court documents. And there are all these things that politicians do. But at the end of the day, I trust the people that are on this radio show to go do their own due diligence. We got a lot of it on my website, templetonforcongress.com, if there are court documents and that kind of thing, news releases that answer those questions. But, you also should go look at Nancy's record. Nancy voted against more border agents to the wall, voted against more money to the wall, didn't show up for the vote on whether or not schools should be shelters or not. She voted 45% of the time with AOC and broke the Republican majority to vote out the speaker. So, go look. TV's great. It's entertaining as hell. And all I can do is laugh about it because it's really extraordinary what they make up.
And it is important that, and I do hope all of our listeners are aware that you don't take my word for anything.
Nor mine.
And always go do your own homework. But I think it was important to get that out there. And just the Aspen group, you're not a member of that or institute?
No, I'm not even sure if I'm a member of Liberty Fellowship anymore. And that was like a 2010 sort of.
Isn't Nancy Mace's
fiance? No, thank you. Yes, nice reminder. Nancy Mace's fiance is Liberty Fellow as well. Yeah. And he's a great guy. I mean, this is not it's a group of South Carolinians.
Okay. I asked your competitors this next question, and I want to ask you the same thing. Why you and not Nancy Mace or Bill Young?
We need a business person who can do math. Absolutely. In Congress, not Nancy Mace, because I can't trust her to be a consistent conservative. She flip-flops for fame. For example, TikTok. Like China should not be spying on our kids. If TikTok wants to be a platform, great. If our kids want to use TikTok, great. China doesn't get to watch. And she agreed with me a while ago until she had to run against me. And then, she made a vote. She voted for China to stay in our homes. And the billionaire investor in TikTok gave her $1 million the day of the vote. Gave the Club for Growth, who was running all the negative ads against me. So if I'm running against the, Chinese TikTok guy, I'm going to run harder. So at this point, he's put, I don't know, or they have put $2-something million against me because she runs for herself. She makes decisions on our votes, our children, our futures, our safety based on whether or not she gets reelected. She's pro-choice. I am pro-life. She's been for Trump, against Trump, for Trump, against Trump, I've always consistently been with the president. He offered me a job when he got elected the first time, called me up to Trump Tower to talk about Secretary of Labor. I had kids in middle school and didn't want to go to DC. So I helped him unofficially anyway. We need a true north. We need somebody who, while we're at the grocery store and at work and, at home and at church, we know that person is looking out for our best interests consistently, and we'll work with the Republican Party, and we'll go up there and not create chaos, but we'll run to work instead of camera, and we'll be a workhorse instead of a show pony. Bill Young is a great guy. I think he's got a lot to offer. I very much appreciate his service. We've gotten to be buddies on the trail because it's he and I. Nancy never shows up. I've got this new thing. I think, what is it? No Trace Mace. She didn't show up to anything. She talked to the constituents. She wasn't even at the memorial service. She's in the parade on Sunday or Monday, Monday, but didn't go to the memorial service. So, look, we got to replace her. And despite my best judgment, I've offered myself to do that for service.
Almost done. Okay. Almost done here. And again, I want to be cognizant of your time. Let's get away from the political doldrums for a minute. Okay. Are you having fun yet? Are you having fun yet?
I love this. I do. I think ask me what your listeners want to ask. Those are always the best questions. They're always out of left field.
We're getting to that, and I'll head right into it. And I'm glad you're having fun. As a former candidate for the same office, I know and understand there are two very important things to garner the most votes and be victorious. One of those is fundraising. The other is key supporters. Sometimes those go hand in hand. I had, when I ran against Nancy, I had some prominent supporters with name recognition, but I ended the race when it was financially impossible to out fundraise the Mace machine, as she called it. Speaking of fundraising first, where are you with that? Is this a closely funded race? She is reporting that she is far and above over fundraising, you and Bill. What do you do in the last 10 days, whatever it is now, to get the most votes via name recognition and fundraising?
I mean, it just goes back to the fact that it is just math and they are just facts. I got into this race a month after she started fundraising, and with only 8 weeks to her 3 months, we outraised her. It is damn near never heard of that you outraise an incumbent.
Oh, yeah.
That says a lot. We outraised her, number one. Number two, it was 90% South Carolina money.
Good.
Right? This whole puppet stuff is, I mean, you know me. Your listeners will get to know me. I can't be bought. Number two. So number three, of that money, about 40% of it were her former supporters. So I think all those numbers tell a really important story. And look, we have to report that to the Federal Election Commission. So these are things you can go verify on the website.
Absolutely. Supporters. I know you have some big name supporters. I think that's awesome. But you also have a supporter. You may not be aware of this. Maybe you are. You do have a supporter who, quite frankly and honestly, is hurting you. Beaufort County State GOP Executive Committee woman Jodan Lee came out before the ink ever dried on your announcement that she was supporting you, which is, I'm not berating that. That's a good thing. Because she is a state EC in the GOP, many folks feel that even though there was a rule change last year so she can do this, they feel like that's a little disingenuous for a state executive committee woman to make an endorsement, whether it's you, Mace, Mickey Mouse, or whoever. But more important at this point is the character of individuals that, and maybe this is a PSA from me, character of some of individuals that could be harming you, and you may not even know it. It's the one thing to do something to decimate yourself by yourself, but it's another for someone else to do it for you. So are you aware of damage being done here in Beaufort County by what I consider a bullying tormentor to and against your campaign that she doesn't, maybe you don't even know it.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear that you feel that way. I tell you what, Katie Arrington was and Kathy Landing were two of the people who have run against Nancy Mace like yourself, right?
Mhm.
And two of probably 10 people who, when she continued to flip flop on her votes, wanted to see her gone. And everyone recognized this needed to be a one-on-one race, and looked to see who they thought the best candidate would be. And when they did that, came to me, asked me to run, and said, we will put all of our supporters behind you that we can get behind you. We'll put all of our resources behind you that we can get behind you. I mean, there are a number of people who did that. And Zhao Dan was a huge, huge workhorse for Katie Arrington.
Mhm.
And Katie put us on the phone together, and Zhao Dan agreed with she's a huge Trump supporter,
Mhm.
and she knows that I'm the Trump candidate. I appreciate what Nancy says on Wednesday versus Friday, but she knew that that I actually believe in his policies and know how to implement them. And so I appreciate all of the work and support that anyone does. I mean, it's been very interesting. I've sat down at kitchen tables here actually in Mount Pleasant with some SCGO peers, quote unquote, and listen to them talk about how they feel about the party. At the end of the day, whether it is in Congress or whether it is on the way to Congress, the Republican Party has got to come together. If we don't, we are going to be in trouble. I mean, what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries.
Mm-hmm.
Big smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, unapologetically on 60 Minutes, looked into the camera and smiled and said, we are running the country. The Republicans are just, eating themselves basically. And he said, they can't do anything without us. We have a 2-vote majority in the Republican Party. So look, at the end of the day, I very much appreciate the personalities. I appreciate that we are a spectrum of people. And I hope that people will vote based on what they see and hear from me. And we'll work hard to make sure that there is an adult in the room to support the 1st congressional district, and that we get a real conservative up there, because we don't have one now.
Let me ask you about big item issues, abortion. On the surface, do you believe that abortion should be a non conversation piece in the federal government and should stay at the state level?
Life is always a conversation, and it will continue to be. It is up to the states. That's what's been decided. I'm pro-life. I've been endorsed by the pro-life world, and Nancy Mace got a D because she's pro-choice. But so there's another differentiator between us.
When you look at things, I think you and I agree on the fact that it's not always new laws that are what you should be doing. Sometimes it's getting rid of existing laws.
Amen.
What is your opinion about the U.S. Department of Education that is not mentioned anywhere in the U.S. Constitution? Is that a $60+ billion Jimmy Carter added bonus that is even possible to be shuttered?
Absolutely. That's one of the things you may have been eavesdropping, Mike. I've said it over and over again. I mean, when we talk about the economy and when we talk about the federal government spending, they have to start and look inward, and you start with getting rid of that agency. I mean, that's a nice, easy, low-hanging piece of fruit. The next thing you do is you get rid of all the unions in the federal government. I mean, I was with Secretary Pompeo at Super Bowl weekend, and he was talking about the Abraham Accords. He was talking about the things he and President Trump wanted done. And as soon as he went to implement, the 3 unions in the State Department slow rolled him. They had no idea they were unions in the State Department. Their departments their unions in the Department of Defense, and they're not enlisted people. It's not military. They are bureaucrats. So all that blows up when I'm there, right? I mean, you get rid of all that. I mean, that anybody that's looked at my record knows how I feel about unionization and unions. In fact, Mitch McConnell asked me a long while ago to look at being on the National Labor Relations Board. And I said, I can't do it. It's a judicial position and I cannot be unbiased. I hate unions.
Yeah.
So, no. So back to the education department. Yeah, no, you get rid of that.
I've got somebody asking, and I think you may have mentioned this, maybe they just tuned in, your thoughts on the guilty verdict of Donald Trump today.
Yeah, they may have just tuned in. I mean, it's ridiculous that we even got to trial. I do not think that he is going to go to court. He will not go to jail. You wouldn't think. Can't believe we're here, but no. Yeah, I mean, this is a nonviolent crime, first offense. He's going to appeal through the years that he's president. Hopefully, he just pardons himself and we're done.
Another listener is asking your opinion. We have a problem in this country and certainly in South Carolina. What are your feelings on Title IX and how women's sports are being ruined in front of our faces? And I personally, I hate this for women who are, having to compete against, call it what you want. It's a guy.
It's a guy. Yeah, it's a guy. It's a man, baby. I have a 6'1", incredibly talented D1 recruited daughter lacrosse player who is a whiz. I mean, she's an incredible athlete. And if you put her twin brother, who's also a lacrosse player, on the field with her, I do believe he would probably shut her down. He's a guy. You just can't do it, and it's ridiculous that anybody would entertain it. You do know Nancy Mace introduced a bill where men would share women's locker rooms and the like. Yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody sent me I'll have to send it to you. Somebody sent me an actual a commercial that was run during the Arrington Mace campaign about it. It's like fairness for all or some such.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll send it to you, Mike. I don't know if you can post things on your site, but I'll let people read it or see it for themselves. No, I think it's ridiculous. I don't think there's anything to talk about there.
No. And, we have, you may not have caught this. It's been a problem across the state, and this is not a congressional problem, but we have a problem in the state along with the Title IX. Is that a extreme leftist fringe group, borderline Marxist group is inundating our public school system, allowing children to take books out of the library that have content that I have asked to read to a church, and they said, "Are you out of your flipping mind?" Mm-hmm. I asked to read it at a school board meeting, and they said, "Are you out of your flipping mind?" I've asked to read it other places, but nowhere have I been allowed to read some of these excerpts from books like Stamped or some of the names I can't even remember. It's horrible. Anyway, we have some folks in this state that are trying to push that. And do you agree that there is an infection of some sort, a moral infection against children? And it's along the same lines as this Title IX business, that somehow, somewhere, we have gotten off the rails as a society, letting this kind of stuff into our public school system.
The education system has always been the delivery vessel for ideas. You start with the young, whether it's DEI or critical race theory, whatever it is. Even if it was when Michelle Obama decided that ketchup was a vegetable and allowed that in our school lunches, whatever it is, it's always been the education system. So I've done two things to counter that. We have to push back too. If they're going to be in our schools, we have to be in our schools. And, probably everybody on this call was the PTA mom, was, there at the preschool, I did all those things. When we got to the high school, our high school, public high school down the street, opened during COVID, and they stopped letting the parents in. And it was a COVID reason. You got to have vaccines, you got no COVID. So what we did, me and a couple of other ladies, is we decided to create a foundation to raise money for the school, and that let us in. And we were able to monitor the DEI and push back on the DEI and push back on the critical race theory. Some of the little cartoons that I've seen in some of the books that you're talking about, I cannot unsee.
Yeah.
And we had one staff member who was hired that had a tattoo on her forearm that said "Burn the Bible." And I say her name was Mix. I don't know if she's a man or a woman. That's the kind of thing that you got to be vigilant about. Back before all of this was so prevalent, I spent years traveling the nation with Justice O'Connor, Sandra Day O'Connor, whose passion in retirement was to institute patriotic education in the middle schools. She had a game called iCivics that we created, or she created, and we provided for free, that 6th grade boys would go home and play unprompted because it was so cool. So no, look, we have to be really diligent that we're not indoctrinating our kids with these ideas.
All right. Last two questions. If the judicial system, back to the Trump trial, if the system is proven that it's corrupt regarding this Trump trial, which I don't know how you couldn't prove any other way, what is the answer? How do you correct this situation?
We have to stop appointing activist judges. I mean, this guy is, what is his daughter? Is it his daughter or his wife? Yeah, that's the Democratic operative. You have to stop appointing activist judges, period. Justice O'Connor's original idea instead of iCivics was called Our Courts, the independence of the third branch, the depoliticization of it. It's the only way that institution stays sane. And I'm hoping we'll see that the judges at the appellate court have more integrity.
We are living now in the days of the statute of limitations it means nothing any longer. After today, it's that doesn't mean anything. And that's sad. That's very sad. So, Catherine, you are in the final push. All right. Just like on the debate stage that unfortunately you never got to get on.
No, she wouldn't debate me. Come on.
I have had the opportunity to debate her, and I actually had fun with it. Personally, I thought I just obliterated her. That's a whole nother story. Anyway,
it would have been fun.
Give your, just like a debate stage, give me your closing remarks for the viewers. We're about at 2,600 now that are out here watching. Your remarks to voters to remember to go vote for you, whether it's tomorrow, since early voting is on.
Yes.
As much as I can't stand that, or June 11th, which is primary day. Go ahead.
We've got to take advantage of the early voting because they can't catch us if we do it, right? And they're doing it. We got to play the game we're in. So go vote. It's on your schedule to tomorrow, Monday through Friday of next week. And more importantly, if you're voting for me, get on your phone or on your email and send out to the people that they respect you. They want to know who we're voting for, right? Tell them who to help them. You've listened to this broadcast. Hopefully you've listened to the other two. You have an opinion. Get them out there. This is going to be low voter turnout. This is going to be decided on 100 people, not 1,000 people. And I think we need a serious adult in Congress who is a consistent conservative, not this flip-flopping for fame stuff. I mean, we've had enough of Nancy Mace.
There you go.
There you go.
Catherine, I have another, actually one of the podcasts that we offer here on this radio network during the week, the number one radio show, the number one podcast rather, happens to be watching tonight. And he is asking, he's begging, almost begging, for you to be on his show. He'd like to interview you for his guest, and he's a Charleston guy. Great. If it's okay, I'm going to send that information to him, how to get in touch with you, as I did. And you spread the word there. Catherine Templeton, ladies and gentlemen, early voting is open now. Primary day is June 11th. Catherine, thank you so much. The buzzsaw, I love it. Thank you for being on here tonight. We appreciate you. I certainly appreciate your time. You are always welcome here on the House of Cards. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Introducing to you. You're on House of Cards live. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right, it is 8:50. Catherine Templeton, there you go, running for Congress. We've had all of them on here. It's up to you now. You've got Catherine Templeton. You've got Nancy Mace, the incumbent, and you've got Bill Young, the retired Marine. In more political news this week, and I kind of went in on this with Catherine. If you were watching, then you would have heard this and probably said, "What are you talking about?" So, where was I this week on Hilton Head Island at a political meeting? We saw Hilton Head Island resident County GOP Executive Committee woman Jodan Lee continue what now seems obvious, her attempt to completely kill the Republican Party in Beaufort County and in South Carolina. The Hilton Head Island Republican Club had their meeting this week and received reports from folks that were there that the HHIRC dues-paying member, friend of the station, Skip Hoagland, came to the meeting, but was met by Beaufort County Sheriff's Office deputies allegedly called in by Jodan Lee and her husband to not allow to have him at the meeting. Club President Sherry Meekroot, who we reached out to, did not return any of my messages or calls, but we have copies of her emails and her Jodan literally blasting Hoagland, telling him in an email that they would have him escorted away. This is becoming, no, I take that back. This is beyond preposterous. I did not know she canceled debating Bill Young. Wish I'd have saw that. Yep, Jodan again. Anyway, this has become beyond preposterous. It's become beyond a canker sore on the ass of humanity. Who does Jodan work for? The answer to that is going to be the people. Okay? She is an executive committee woman to the Beaufort County GOP, actually to the state. So she answers to the electorate. She's not an elected official, yet she's been elected to that position. What is Jodan's ultimate political goal? I've had a lot of people ask me that, and I don't know if anybody's asked her that. What is your goal? Run for office? If that's what you want to do, take out the balls and run. She hangs her hat on an election integrity bill from a couple of years ago that has been proven, mind you, here on this show, as a matter of fact, to have less value of election integrity than before. She claims she wrote the bill. She's the author of the bill. She has brainwashed, in my opinion, many of our county's delegation to the General Assembly into thinking that she's the brainchild of this election integrity bill. Is she trying to overthrow someone? I don't know. I mean, you got to start asking questions. But the people of Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Beaufort are wising up to her. Her own club, I forget the name of it, Friends of Liberty or something like that. Her own club has dwindled down or away to basically what I've heard some younger folks call a nothing burger. She could not even win a seat to the national convention without rigging, and that's really what it was, rigging things, doing the homework against people like Lauren Martell of Hilton Head. Even then, people are getting smart to her and shutting her down. After she did the vote complaint with Drew McKissick and that whole thing, getting 3 people kicked out, she got in, but then at future votes in Columbia and Charleston, I believe it was, she didn't even make the cut. So I'm here to tell you this, folks. and please listen closely. Anyone who publicly berates a sitting county councilman is doing as a nefarious attempt of character assassination. Anyone who screams out that she will do whatever it takes to have you, quote unquote, removed from office is not only acting nefarious character attempts assassination, but also is unfit for holding any kind of office. Anyone who tells community members of the community, if you don't help me get rid of so-and-so, I will make sure you don't get this and that. That is not only a nefarious attempt of character assassination and completely unfit for office, it is a cancer of the worst kind on the heels of society. Jodan Lee needs to resign immediately. Immediately. There are papers and reports that some that I've seen, some that I have been told, if you want them, you can have them, that have come out of communist China that, if are true, as I'm being told, and I don't know because I haven't looked because I don't want to go there yet. If they're true, they would be damning if they're publicly exposed. Anyone, and I mean anyone, sharing a platform with this vile, nefarious character assassination attempt person will be considered part of that faction. I hope I got that through to Catherine Templeton tonight. There's an old saying, birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, Corey, if I don't support you, you will be silenced. That's exactly her MO. And that sounds like a lot like Mao. I agree. I couldn't agree more. And she is all about clout. She is one of those people. We want to hear your stories. You know, it's not just a small group any longer. There is a groundswell of conversation about, and I'm not, personally, she's probably a fine person. I don't know. I don't really care. That's not about the person. This is about the position. Corey is telling me that there are legit reasons to go after an elected official of any kind, county council, elsewhere. True, the threat she has made while using her office to back those up, that's when it becomes a problem. However, you don't publicly attack a sitting council person, even if it's under the guise of proper decorum. You don't do that in a vehement way to cause angst to that person and the surrounding people. It wasn't a one-on-one thing. This was in a parking lot. That is uncalled for. Yes, could that be nefarious intent? That's a good point. That's a damn good point and makes complete sense. So anyway, I want to hear from you. Do you have stories about Jodan Lee and what in the world is she doing? Why is Kevin Henley got his head stuck down? Some have said up her ass, but I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to say he goes along to get along to do, obviously, whatever she says. Why is this happening? What experiences have you had with this? You have a friend that has that experience. Tell them to contact us. I'd love to hear. Finally, talked about it again, and Catherine did. The biggest spectacle of in the subject of the judiciary has occurred today. Again, Donald Trump found guilty of 34 counts of charges that were either way past the statute of limitations, some charges that this court has no authority over, aka some federal issues. And then there are some charges that, quite frankly, I don't even know what they are. But the Democrat machine in Manhattan got its win today. I fully expect the appeals process to happen as it should. Yeah, it may take years. If he becomes president, I guess he could pardon himself. I hadn't really thought about that. This is uncharted territory. I understand sentencing is supposed to be July 11th, just days before the GOP convention. Is that ironic, or is that on purpose? Or is it of no consequence? I do not perceive any jail time, as Catherine and I mentioned. This supposed crimes are nonviolent. He's a first-time offender. There's no record. There would be no reason to impose jail time. However, this is Manhattan. Someone asked me earlier before we got on the air, do you think there'll be riots in the streets? And, I thought about that, and my honest opinion is that typically, and I don't know what's gone on for the last 2 hours. Maybe they're out there raising hell for all I know. But my honest opinion is that typically Republicans are not the violent, street-taking arsonists that we've seen Democrats, Marxists, communists do, and do very well. Republicans typically don't do that. So no, I do not foresee riots in the streets. I do know people are done. People have been done. We aren't going to keep taking it. People are over it. So take that for what it's worth. Corey sending a message. I can't see a president pardoning himself. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, we've never been down that road as far as I ever know. I've never recalled that. It is dangerous. I don't think the Nixon issue is of the same measure. I don't know. It's a complete new nuance. I don't know. We'll see what happens. A couple other things here we see. I think I've talked about all those. Okay, that looks like everything. We got everything that there are some messages, folks, that have sent through here that I have that are like clouded that I can't open. So for whatever reason. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. It is 9 o'clock, 2100 hours. I want to thank Catherine Templeton again for coming on and being with us tonight. Now we've had all three folks running for the Republican nomination of the Congressional District 1 in South Carolina. Early voting is going on now. Next week, we will give you our opinion of who should have that seat. From the Republican side, unlike the Jodan Lees of the world, when someone applies for the job, announces for the job, we don't come out of the gate under some kind of strange, alleged nefarious business. I just don't buy that. Again, if you have information that you want to share about her, would love to have it. If you've been affected by some of the temper tantrums, would love to hear about it. The fact remains, and I will keep saying this, that there is a problem right there, and she needs to resign. She needs to be replaced immediately. It's not a threat. It just is what it is. If, as Catherine Templeton said, this GOP party in South Carolina is going to get out of the fracture that it is in, Beaufort County's 146th part of this has to start with the removal of her. Period. Maintain your membership, be a good Republican, live the Republican creed, which, quite frankly, I don't see how you could even say you do, but that's neither here nor there. But State EC or any office, she needs to resign and needs to resign immediately. All right. Keep your sights on what's going on around the world. Things are happening really by the minute, however you want to look for it. Make sure you've got plenty of things on hand in case something worse to happen. Thank you, Julianne. Thank you for being here. Make sure you are prepared in case of an emergency. Never before in my lifetime, I don't believe, have we had 3 or 4 fronts of possible war happening all at one time, and we do now. So stranger things have happened. Stay tuned to what's going on. If we see tonight that there are things happening in the streets, I don't think there will, but tune into our YouTube channel where we will go live around the clock with videos from the streets. If something was to pop off, as I've said before, we are involved in, we being America, we will also do that. Otherwise, be sure to tune in to BigPatriotRadio.com for all your blues news, country, pop, and classic rock. And 5 nights a week, there are podcasts. So be sure to check them all out. Until next week, good night, America, and watch your six.